Good afternoon, I'm Beth and welcome to my channel, Watercolor Painting in the Afternoon. I lied. I told you that I don't really teach, and somebody asked me to give them a lesson or two and I said okay. So totally lied to you about that. But you know, I still think there are better teachers. I am a better demonstrator than a teacher, but you know, you can think of me as however you want to think of me, I guess. So my first little lesson today, this is for Chris, who wanted 3 or 4 lessons from me, and I just said okay. So this is the first one, and it's about color mixing. Now she already understands you know, that we add water to watercolors, that it's activated by water, so I'm not going to get that basic. But we are going to start with some color mixing. And you may or may not have all of the colors of the rainbow that you need, right? So these are Daniel Smith colors, and they are 3 cool primaries and 3 warm primaries. The 3 cool primaries are Hansa Yellow Light, French Ultramarine, and Quinacridone Rose. Those are the cool primaries. The warm primaries are New Gamboge, Pyrrole Scarlet, and Phthalo Blue. Now, if you didn't pick up black, or you didn't pick up brown, or green, or purple, I'm going to show you how to mix some of these colors with just using 3 cool primaries and 3 warm primaries. So, and yes, this is Daniel Smith and it's expensive. And yes, it is going to have slightly different results than maybe other watercolor paints, but most of this is fairly similar most of the time. So let me just take my little palette here and show you what I have out. Here are my 2 cool reds right here. Quinacridone Rose and Pyrrole Red. Here's French Ultramarine and Phthalo Blue. And here on this end is Hansa Yellow, was it light or deep? Hansa Yellow Light and New Gamboge. And I've got a few little open, you know, a few little areas in my palette that don't have anything in them. The rest of it is gouache and it's kind of hard to get out. So yeah, anyway. Let's start by making some secondary colors. So let's say you wanted a lovely orange and you only have these colors. It depends on what kind of orange you want. You can make a very warm orange by mixing the Pyrrole Red, just like that, which is almost an orange in itself. It's a very orangey warm red, and a little New Gamboge. And you are going to get a nice bright orange. Yeah? See the orange there? I don't know if you can see that very well. But it's going to come out as a lovely orange. That's almost a pumpkin orange, right? So if I was going to paint a pumpkin, I might make plenty of this paint. And if you're going to paint a lot of a color and you are mixing that color, mix a lot of it. Because you don't want to be mixing it over and over again, because you're going to come up with different colors and it's going to look funky and weird. So mix a lot of one color at a time. And there's your pumpkin. Wow, it's just an orange blob, but hey, there you go. Pyrrole Red all by itself looks like this. New Gamboge all by itself looks like this. Put them together and you get a nice orange. All right, suppose you take a Pyrrole Red and the Hansa Yellow Light. Let's see what kind of orange we get with that. Again, oh, it's very similar. Maybe a little reddish. I mean, no, it's almost identical, isn't it? Well, you know, you can just mix and play and make decisions based on what you like and how it looks. So this is Hansa Yellow Light all by itself. and I mixed that with Pyrrole Red. Now let's mix it with Quinacridone Rose. Let's do that. So I'm going to put that little puddle right here. And Hansa Yellow Light. And we have more of a, I'd say a coral orange rather than a, yeah, more of a coral color. It's got a bit more of a pinkish tone, but you can see that you can get very, you know, you can get really specific with these colors and just mix them in different concentrations. Let's put more of the red in there. Wow, that makes a really deeply rosy orange color. Let's put more of the yellow in there and you'll see. Look at that. Yes, and yes, you can mix paint right on the paper. People do it all of the time. All right, so let's leave orange for now and let's go on to purple. So suppose I wanted purple. I'm going to take my red and put it right here. That's my Pyrrole Red, and I'm going to take my blue, my Phthalo Blue, and I'm going to add it. And that is going to make, that comes very close to just being black. I don't know what kind of purple we're talking about here. It makes more of an indigo, doesn't it, than a purple. Let's add some more red to that. Let me see if you, I gotta make sure you see this. Let's add a little bit more red and see if that changes. Oh yeah, now it's a purple now, but it's this almost blackish purple. Okay, so Phthalo Blue is this bright sort of sea blue, you know, Caribbean blue. And then a Phthalo Red, which is that bright red like that. So if you put more blue in, you're going to get this deep grayish blue. And if you put more red in, you're going to get this very grayish purple. So isn't that interesting? These two warm colors make a very cool combination. So let's go for the cools now and see if we can get more of a traditional purple. So here's the Quinacridone Rose, and here's French Ultramarine, which I'm getting right there. Can you even see this? Yeah. Now, friends, that's purple. Let me put just a tiny bit more red in it. Look, that is what we think of when we think of purple, right? That's purple. Okay, put more blue in it, and this is what happens. Put more rose in it, and this is what happens. So that's these colors, French Ultramarine and Quinacridone Rose. How about that? Now, can you see that? I'm sorry, I really am trying to keep that in the picture. All right, so just from these colors right here, look at the variety that we already have. Oranges and purples. Let's go to greens, because let me tell you something, greens are kind of the challenge, you know? I'm just gonna tear this out so I can keep an eye on it here. There we go. I use this paper. This is throwaway paper that I just use to practice on or to swatch colors on, as you can see. Okay, so greens are made with blue and yellow. So I'm gonna get a little bit of Hansa Yellow Deep, and I'm just gonna mix it right on the page. I hope you don't mind. It saves me a step. Hansa Yellow Deep. No, excuse me, just Hansa Yellow, right? Excuse me, New Gamboge. All right, jeez, get it right in a minute. New Gamboge, and let's make a warm one with the Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, I'm going to get it right eventually. Look at how deep a green that is. I'm going to pull it down so you can see it even better. Look at how gorgeous. That's a beautiful green. Very kind of a hunter green, you know? Gorgeous. Look at that. But it's not the only green you can make. If you add more New Gamboge, what you're going to get is a different color. Look at that. And if you add more Phthalo Blue, you're going to get this even bluer green, right? So that's basically what you get when you add the warm blue and yellow. Let's do the cool blue and yellow, the cool French Ultramarine. I'm going to put it right here. Such a pretty color all by itself. French Ultramarine. And then Hansa Yellow Light. Right on top. Okay, that's more of a sap green, isn't it? More of a sap green. Then you can get your Phthalo Blue and add the light yellow. Now, obviously there's less blue in that patch, so let me put a little bit more blue in it. This is going to be a little bit lighter because I haven't, the darker color is the blue. And, oh, look at that. See, it's a lighter green, isn't it? Because I didn't put quite so much blue in it, but let's put a little bit more blue in it. See what we get. So we come up with a deeper green. That's like a fresh mowed lawn green. Coming up with my own names here. Now, let's go for something that looks kind of olive, because that's going to be hard, isn't it? These greens all have just blue and yellow. If you want an olive green, I'm going to take something and add it to this green right here. A little Pyrrole Red, just a touch of Pyrrole Red. And what we're going to get. Okay, so my camera went a little bit haywire there for a second, and let me repeat that. I added a little bit of Pyrrole Red to this middle green, and I made an olive green. So a little bit of red goes a long way to make a really interesting, earthy, olivey green. All right, so red and blue, but add that little bit, I gotta get things right. Blue and yellow make the green, but then add a little bit of red. Let's add a little quinacridone rose to this one over here and see what happens. You're almost gonna get a purple, a purpley. Oh my goodness, that's almost a grayish black, isn't it? Okay, look at that. That's an interesting color. And it still leans toward green, so it could be a very good deep shadow green, couldn't it? So we've made oranges, purples, greens. Now let's say that you've got a color set and you don't have brown. The best way to make brown is with green and red. So I'm going to take the Pyrrole Red and I'm just going to put it right here, but we're going to have to make a green to go with it. And the kind of brown you get is going to depend on the kind of green you make. So if I make green with Phthalo Blue and Hansa Yellow Light, let me show you that green. It's very bright. Yeah, it's a very bright green. Okay, I'm going to add it to the red. Let's see what we get. We should get kind of a brown. Yeah. You see the brown that you get with that? And you just have to play with the ratio. You have to play with the ratio of red to blue to yellow to get that brown. Now you can take the brown and you can add a deep blue to it, like French Ultramarine, and you'll come up with black. What do you think of that? Look at that black. It's a nice, rich, warm black, isn't it? You can also come up with grays. And again, you're just going to play with these colors until you get something you like. So blue, just a touch of yellow is going to turn that green. And then red, this time I'm going to use the rose. Let's see what we get. Okay, a very interesting brown. A very light brown, a grayish brown. Yeah? So you're just going to play with these colors until you get your browns and your grays the right color. If I want that to lean gray, I'm going to add more blue. It's that simple. If I want it to lean brown, I'm going to add more red. But now this paper's starting to pill a little bit on me, so you can probably see that. But this resembles kind of a, I don't know, kind of a foggy gray. You know, a really gentle rain cloud gray, very bluish in color. So anyway, that's it. That's the whole lesson. I just think that you need to get your paints out and mess with them until you get what you want. You're going to get your browns and your grays and your blacks. Those are the hardest, I think, and greens. Greens are hard, but so are browns and grays. And so just play with those things. Play with them over and over and over. And if you are going to paint a large area, any one of these colors, be sure that you make a lot of it so that you're not going back and trying to recreate the recipe, because that can have disastrous effects. So just make a lot of your color, and understand, I say that, I always have to go back and make some more. But I try to remember the ratio that I used when I make the colors. And sometimes I just use, you know, a different, you know, I'll just use gray, a tube of gray paint, you know, or a tube of black paint or something like that if I really don't want to have to mess with this. But, you know, it's worth knowing how to do. So I hope that helped, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you stick around. I'm going to have a couple or three more lessons for Chris. See you then.